Hello, and thank you guys for coming today. Today we are going to think about if a friend called you up today and wanted you to fly to Hawaii for a week. Could you afford to go? No? Yes? Are you prepared? Some of you are and some of you aren't, right? So today I'm going to talk about how you should start budgeting your money if you aren't already. Some good ideas to start budgeting. And when you're budgeting, you also need to have an emergency fund, and you also need to possibly start saving for retirement, or at least having some sort of savings. So those are the topics that I'm going to try to convince you to start today. Did you know if you started saving now that you could start getting interest on the money that you're depositing into the bank? So your $5 over time, depending on how much money your bank pays on interest, you could start earning money, and in 10 years you could have several more $100. So on my sheet here, I'm not ready to show you that yet. I have been doing budgeting and financing since I got my first job when I was 16 years old. And you know, you live and you learn through several mistakes. And then also, once I got married, we did the Financial Peace University, which if you haven't done that, it's actually pretty helpful. And we did that, and we stick to that pretty closely. My favorite part is the weekly budget meeting that we have. Sometimes it's every other month now, but we try to stay on track every couple weeks or so. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So that's very important. Also, so we'll talk about that. We will also talk about saving for other savings. Okay. So let's start today by talking about budgeting, our basic steps for budgeting. So right here, we have the special different areas that we should budget money for. We have your household things you should budget for, all separated out. Everything that you ever spend money on, you should put a budget for it. Even if it's that coffee that you have every day, you need to know where all your money goes to. So what I would recommend is starting a spreadsheet and put all of your expenses on there and all of the money that you have coming in, so that you can keep track of what you're spending your money on and what you need to spend your money on still, so that you don't go over budget. So making a budget will help you keep track of what bills need to get paid and what haircut needs to get paid for coming up in the future. If Joe needs some new shoes, you can make sure that you have money for new shoes and clothing and all kinds of activities there that you do need money for. And then I already talked about scheduling a weekly meeting to go over your budget. If for yourself, even make an appointment for yourself on your calendar to sit down and take time to go through your checkbook, make sure you're balancing with your bank, and make sure that you need to update any changes. So if your cell phone bill changed, it's now $24 more a month, that you can make that change to your budget so that you're staying on track. Also, if groceries went up, anything that might have got added, or say you paid off a credit card and now you don't have to pay that bill anymore, so then you would need to take that off of your budget form. So just weekly checking it, making sure everything's up to date. There is something called Dave Ramsey in his book Financial Peace University. He talks about the snowball debt payoff. So what he recommends is taking all of your debt. You take the one that's the most expensive and you start paying on that one the most. So you have $250 that you're putting towards your bills. So you put a little bit towards each one every month, and then once the littler ones are getting paid off, you'll still keep putting that same amount of money towards your bills, but then that other money goes up towards the other bills so that they all kind of get paid off faster. And he calls it the snowball effect debt payment. Does that make sense? Yeah. So things are looking good there. You got your budget all up to date, and then bam, all of a sudden your car breaks down. But you didn't plan for that. So what we also recommend is that you start an emergency fund, and that is recommended to about from $500 to about $1,000 that you put towards any kind of emergency that might come up, like a broken car or a refrigerator breaks down. If you're in college, maybe your laptop gets broken. So something that is expensive that you could have the money to cover, so you don't have to use a credit card, because you want to try not to use credit cards if you don't have to. So the good thing to do when you are starting your emergency fund is to make sure that you think about how much money you're spending in your daily or monthly budget, and then you want to make sure that you're saving about that much or a little bit more. So in case anything happens, you can still cover your daily coverage, your daily amount of monthly bills need to get covered. So think about that when you're making your emergency fund, because that will depend on everybody individually. And then of course that also applies to adjusting it as needed depending on any new situations that might come up. If you get married, then that will probably need to double, or if you are married and you're going to have children, or if you're going to purchase a house, those types of things. So make sure you're kind of keeping track and adjusting where that needs to happen. So now that we know how to budget and we have our emergency fund all set up, the next step would be to start saving for your retirement. So there are several different options for that. Some employers have something called a 401k that they use at your work, and or you can just start investing your money into a personal bank account, and with the interest, like I was saying, you check your bank. They also have things called compound interest and Roth IRAs, so you should check those if that's something that you might be interested in. Also, there's stocks and bonds as well if you are interested in those. They all are ways to save money, but they all don't save money in different ways. Or they're all, what's the right word? They all earn money in different ways. Some don't earn very much for a very long time, and others can earn money faster. So depending on your age, you might look into different ways that will earn you money faster. Or if you're starting and you're 12, then maybe something that doesn't earn money as fast. So make sure you do a lot of research before you invest in anything, and you have a lot of advice that is from professionals.